for this?
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
Whoa! We are back. Coming in off the metal. Get the heads bobbing. That means it is 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It is Monday, September 26th, and that means it's time for another installment of Southern Nevada Sports News coming to you from Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corp.com. My name is Bill Miller, co-host along with
Jeff Belknap
and Brett Price.
And on the line with us after a week's absence, but we are absolutely pleased to have him back, the prognosticator himself, the man from Cleveland, George Jorge Mish. George, how you doing, buddy?
Good. Very well. Very well.
Well, man, we are glad to have you back, and we really appreciate it.
Glad to be wanted back.
Good to have you back, Georgie.
Okay.
Glad to have you healthy.
Well, before we get into
Healthier.
yeah, absolutely. Before we get into the weekend's hits, misses, both NCAA and NFL. I mean, by now, obviously, you probably heard. If you woke up Sunday morning, the absolute tragedy, death of the Miami Marlins young ace, Jose Fernandez, at the age of 24, boating accident, absolute tragedy. And absolutely a baseball fan myself. It is my favorite sport. I like basketball. I like football. Crazy about soccer. But I love baseball. Yeah. And this young man, just an absolute phenomenal career that is just cut short, and just to see the outpouring of grief and just people that how much he actually meant to the South Miami and South Florida, Cuban community. 3 times he attempted to make it, was caught, and even did some time, but this 4th time he absolutely made it. Just an incredible story that he actually went into the water because he heard that somebody was struggling, and it turned out to be his mother.
Yep.
He didn't know that.
Saved his mom.
Yeah, and then also find out that a week ago he had twittered that his girlfriend was pregnant, with his their first child. This is an absolute tragedy, and I don't know how much more I can say about that. Is that we really won't know just what this young man could have accomplished, but his numbers were just absolutely phenomenal.
Off the chart.
Yep.
Yeah.
And eerie for me being in Cleveland because the Olin Cruz and Ojeda thing, 1993 happened, and it's almost the same thing, ramming into the, I call it a dock. I don't know what it means, but it's like deja vu, and it's not good deja vu. But
no, not at all. And that story came up, and in George, you and I kind of spoke about this briefly yesterday, and you reminded me of that, and they had also mentioned that same story, and let's not forget there were also 2 other people on that boat with Fernandez who also lost their lives. Condolences to those families, and but this young man touched a lot of people in a very positive way, and he's absolutely going to be missed. So if the day wasn't, already, kind of headed south as far as that kind of news, and then, we find out during last night's football game that Arnold Palmer, at 87, the king, had passed away as well. So it was just an absolutely crazy day.
Yep.
For a lot of young people, they may not, of course, know much about Arnold Palmer because he's kind of, because of health issues, has kind of stepped away from the game. But one of the true absolute ambassadors of the game. I'm 59, and one of the reasons why I absolutely fell in love with the game of golf was that Arnold Palmer was the everyman. He made golf popular for people who didn't go to country clubs and who couldn't afford necessarily to, he snuck onto the course where his father was superintendent to practice to play, and he truly made golf an everyman sport. There was always Arnie's Army.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, he is synonymous with one of the all-time absolutely favorite non-alcoholic beverages on the planet, the Arnold Palmer.
Yep.
You know,
and goes well with vodka. If you,
If you want to dabble, yes.
but it's just you know, he was an absolute true ambassador of the game, and certainly one of the most beloved golfers on the planet ever. You know, again, you know, but at 87, you know, he's certainly led a fantastic life. You know, and then of course being 24, Fernandez. I mean, you know, it's just a huge dichotomy.
Yep. Both are going to be dearly missed, and you know, Arnie with the golf community, and then the young life of Jose Fernandez. Just looking at some of the stuff on him, this just today, you know, I knew he was a good pitcher, but I didn't know his whole story. You know, was coming out when the news broke on him, and then just to find out he was just a great guy.
Yeah,
Really, you know, like a little clown, great guy in the clubhouse, and you know, it's just sad to see a career and a life just go just like that.
yeah, and then talk about a act of just emotion. D. Gordon came up, leadoff home run.
Tonight for the Marlins.
And then, of course, the Marlins wearing 16.
they're all
Fernandez
wearing number
jerseys.
16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw it yet, Bill, but as he was walking in the dugout, just weeping.
Lost it.
Really?
Yeah,
Yep, lost
it was very emotional.
Yeah.
Actually, it made me cry, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm a guy, you know. No, but seriously, after when he hit the home run, I was like, wow. I mean, it was like immediate. You could tell the fans got into it. Everybody
yeah.
like kind of saw
Oh,
what was
yeah.
going on, and man, just a great a show of appreciation.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, they're both obviously going to be missed in different ways, but the bottom line is that even with his short time here, Fernandez left an absolute footprint.
Absolutely.
And,
Yep.
You know, he's going to be sorely missed. But so listen, you know, I wanted to share that, and you know, of course, now let's switch gears and let's you know what we're all about here, and that's let's all talk about the past weekend. Start with the NCAA. Obviously, some surprises.
Well, could I start with something different? I want to
You
know,
sure
'cause these
can.
guys are. This is the most truthful group I've ever met in my life. But of you three gentlemen, or whoever is in that studio there, how many of you believe Wentz was going to be this quarterback that he is so far over whoever was Goff or whatever?
I
amazed.
didn't. I am absolutely amazed, and no, I
Well,
thought
it's
he was going
amazing
to take his
because the
lunch.
world now is everybody picked him before the thing happened.
of
I
course.
don't remember that.
Of course, yes.
It reminds me of Lenny Barker in Cleveland having his no-hitter back in the, I don't know when it was, early 80s.
Yeah, 81.
175,000 people were there, and the
Yeah.
announced attendance was 7,031.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
amazing how those ticket holders let them all get in there.
about the same amount of people that were at the parade for the Cavaliers this year.
Yeah.
Was it 2 million people?
But it's just tell the truth, okay? That's all. It's
No, I mean, watching him, last year even, and then, of course, watching the highlights and everything, I knew that he was going to be a good guy. He's got the
Not
size.
now,
He's got
not right now. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, but he was thrown in there into a good offense.
Yeah.
It picked it up very well, and hey, he's been doing it right.
And-
I mean, the first two games I could understand
Yeah.
because it was Cleveland and whoever the hell the other one
Chicago.
was. Pittsburgh, they just shredded them.
They did. They
Like it was-
dominated Pittsburgh yesterday.
Yeah, it's,
So
I was amazed.
let's also give credit to Jim Schwartz and that defense on Philadelphia.
No.
I mean, they're playing out of their minds.
Jim Schwartz is dead to me.
Well, I mean,
just
I
kidding.
thought I would
That's
just
the
at least give
ex-Lions
him
head
credit.
coach, so.
Yes.
He's one
well,
of the Schwartz
is that
brothers.
where he coached?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, that was good.
No, that was good.
So where would you guys like to start?
Well, do you want to start on college ball last week?
College ball last week, absolutely. And then we'll go into Sunday.
No, I just want to go into college ball. Stay away from Sunday. But I did give you guys a warning when I threw my picks out that I didn't like any of these games really, but I knew that I had to pick 4 games. I wasn't super excited about it. I did not do well yesterday.
I read an article on some place and it disappeared. I was trying to find it, how many million that the books made this weekend on pro football, but they made enough to build a few more casinos.
Well, because I was keeping track because I was watching, the only favorite that covered in the first half of the game was Oakland. Every other game the
It's one
dog
of those
won.
days.
And I actually watched the Minnesota and Carolina game, and Minnesota's defense is the best defense that I've seen probably in a good 5-6 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they completely dominated the game. They completely dominated the game against the Packers last week. I don't know who's going to be able to put something together to beat this defense, but me personally, we talked last week about, losing AP,
Mm-hmm.
and, now Bridgewater's out, who are they going to go to type of thing. They had absolutely no problem with Carolina whatsoever.
I mean, with that defense, offense just got to be average.
Yeah.
I mean, they just got to put up a couple scores, and the percentages are good for them to win with that defense.
Well,
the special teams scored the touchdown, the punt return, which actually changed the game a little bit. But after that, I mean, Carolina did nothing.
Honestly, I think it was, Carolina jumped out there 10-0, so
Yep.
it's all automatically that.
Or 10-2, I think. It was,
Well, no, I think it was 10-0.
Yeah, I think it was
Then they got
10-0.
to safety.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
so suddenly there, it's the it's a warm fuzzy feeling. Hey, Cam's giving away football to kids. This is going to be a short afternoon, easy peasy. And then the safety came,
Yep.
and then it was like the floodgates opened up. Suddenly, this is going to be a game.
Yeah.
And that changed it, and that was it.
Yep.
That was the last points Carolina scored, and there it is. But I seriously, I have got to give credit to Minnesota's defense because I thought it was a fluke against Green Bay. I figured they were just jacked up, new arena. Hey, let's just show out, and maybe even get some help from the Zebras.
They
But-
did actually get some help from the Zebras.
But the way they played against Carolina, this is a team now that I mean, clearly they got to be the favorites as far as the
What's-
Norris
it's
division.
It's crazy with Minnesota, and you went back and looked at some things on trends, and like the last 3 years, they are by far the best ATS team in the NFL,
yeah.
by far. So I mean, it's no secret really if you're looking in the betting world that Minnesota's a good team to bet on. So
Since we are not on college football and on NFL, Bill, I'm reading about this flag that came down about 3 hours after the play was over with Tennessee. Was that true? I didn't watch the game. At the end of the game, the last play that they called pass interference and gave them a chance to win.
They did give him a chance to win, and then Tennessee scored a touchdown. Is that what you're talking
Okay.
about?
I
Or-
thought it was the other way, but
Right. Okay, they scored a
Tennessee,
touchdown, and then they threw the flag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So a couple of those actually happened. That was actually one of them. Tennessee did score a touchdown to actually
but they took it away.
go up. They called offensive pass interference. They took away the
Was
touchdown.
it pass interference?
It was pass interference.
Okay.
And then, of course, LSU's.
The slow flag.
Yeah.
yeah, that was totally.
But that was proven correctly.
Yeah, it was a good call.
Okay, so Stoops is done after this week with TCU beats Oklahoma, or no?
By double digits.
Anything wouldn't surprise me right now, So
Well, since we're all right, and so we're talking about the possibility of Stoops going, Miles is gone.
gone.
Hmm.
And just a quick poll between all of you guys: knee-jerk reaction or the right move?
It was going to happen.
They've been talking about it for 3 years.
Yeah, they were just
at
looking
least.
for something, and the way that game ended against Auburn, it kind of gave them an easy out on that one. So 4 games in, kind of, surprised me a little bit, but
I think they have seriously underproduced, and I'm not surprised.
Okay, Georgie.
Rob, they obviously through my reading today, they need a offensive person that can get a quarterback. If Jamarcus Russell is your last quarterback, that's halfway decent because he can throw in his knee 75 yards. I think they need another quarterback, and that leads to Herman totally. The consensus is Jimbo Fisher coming in, but does he leave Florida State for that? I wouldn't. Why would he? That's my opinion.
Because the SEC is still considered the
Well,
conference.
That's fine.
But let's talk about the temporary coach, Ed Ogeron. This has got to be like Groundhog Day for him.
yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
and I hope for his sake that he's dusting off his resume, and working with his agent on setting up some interviews outside of Baton Rouge, because it's not, even if he beats Alabama, which I don't see happening.
He's got to win out. I mean,
He would have to win out, beat Alabama, and then start a letter writing campaign,
Yeah.
stealth letter writing campaign, to get him to be the coach of LSU. I think that.
He's in the same shape that the Baylor coach is in, pretty much.
Well, yeah. I mean, but let's face it. There's some characters lurking around let's face it, there hasn't even been any dust to settle on Bobby Petrino's contract where
Talking
he's
about
at.
him. Yeah, talking about him, Herman.
But I even heard Lane Kiffin, because obviously he's a post boy now as far as offense is concerned. And at some point or another, Saban would not have a problem with letting him walk away. He doesn't have a problem with any of his coaches walking away to other SEC schools. It's only players that he has issues with.
Right.
Yeah. And LSU might look at it as at Lane Kiffin, because if you look at Alabama, they're not a juggernaut at quarterback, but they win, and they win a lot,
And they make it work.
and
It's a system.
it's a system, and I can't say that LSU has that much less talent than Alabama. So it comes down to coaching then.
And the offensive coordinator position. So that's LSU, and of course the fiasco of Duke knocking off Notre Dame,
Unbelievable.
and then the subsequent press conference where he says, all 22 positions are up for grab. Well, not the long snapper, but all 22 positions are up for grab. Then the next morning he fires his defensive coordinator.
Actually, I think Brett Price fired the defensive
I
coordinator.
kind of threw something out on Saturday on Facebook about getting Notre Dame needing a new defensive coordinator, and
Were
next
you
thing you know,
putting your hat in the ring?
I'm like, George, I predict the future. So and he gets fired the next morning. I'm like,
Well, I'm going to tell you guys something I was embarrassed to say, but since we're all friends here, I actually bet an 8-team parlay with money lines, and my loser was Notre Dame. And do you know how sad it is? I actually threw it on there because I thought it was a gimme.
Oh yeah.
Minus 1,200, and that was my loser.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, $20 to win like $150.
the way Brian Kelly kind of threw his players under the bus, wasn't really liking that. I didn't.
Well, if he was looking for a reaction, I think he's going to get one, but I think it's going to be completely different from what he was expecting.
Yeah.
I think these guys may just say, hey, you know what? What are the regulations for me transferring out of this institution?
I honestly think that guy thinks too much of himself. He needs to look in the mirror, and that might be a bigger problem.
Well, for Notre Dame, hey, listen, man, you clearly you get what you pay for. As Charlie Weiss, who I think just got his last check from South Bend, he's available. You might even you have a credit as far as he's concerned. Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of touch bases on those two particular issues.
Right.
And so where would you like the guys like to start as far as like Saturday's games, some of the big upsets?
State.
What was that, George?
Michigan State.
Yeah, that was surprising.
That was a total shock to me.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you on that. Wisconsin just went in there and dominated the whole game.
Yeah, yes,
their
they did.
Their defense is good, and everybody was kind of writing them off a little bit when they struggled against Georgia State and Michigan State coming off the Notre Dame game. Everybody was praising them. It's you're still dealing with 18 to 20-year-old kids, and Wisconsin went in there and took care of business. Surprised me.
Better last week than next week.
Yeah, Wisconsin and Michigan this week, so it should be a good game in Ann Arbor.
Yeah. How about
Michigan to trounce.
You think Michigan's going to trounce them?
Trounce.
get trounced?
No, two trounce.
Two trounce, Wisconsin?
Two trounce them. Okay. So you're saying go ahead and lay the 10.5.
You're going to lay that?
Better? Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice.
It's time to get the numbers are starting to. I use two systems, and they're starting to get close together. They were wide apart for a while, and it's starting. Things are starting to look decent. Same with Mississippi, I believe, also.
Yeah.
I know that's Memphis is just thriving over their 77 against Bowling Green.
That's saying more about Bowling Green.
They're two different types of teams.
Yeah, I think I like Ole Miss again at home too, against revenge factor too. Memphis beat them last year.
How about Florida's meltdown in Knoxville?
Yeah, that surprised me too. I'm watching that game and I'm looking at Florida's defense and I'm going, "Wow, they might be the best in the country." You know,
For a half.
for a half they were. I was like, "Whew!" And then all of a sudden they just fell apart.
Well, the meltdown that I can't stay away from is that Arizona State and Cal.
The 45
I've-
points in the fourth quarter to cover the.
Okay,
over.
so I had the over because I did take the biggest over play. And I'm going to tell you guys, I stopped watching the game because it was like not even close. And then the scoring just kept coming. And then the way they ended up getting was a pick six.
Yeah.
And then Cal came back, scored a touchdown. And then they kick a squib kick, and the guy runs the
He
squib
runs it
kick.
back, the onside kick. He
Isn't
grabs
that-
it and runs it in.
Isn't that great?
It's crazy.
I mean, for the game to go over like that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And the other one was
Pac-12. What do you expect?
That's
Yeah.
true. Late night in the Pac-12.
well, the other one that I had, the other over I had, which
Never
was
go to sleep.
Yeah.
exactly one of the other plays that I had, my picks of the week was Washington over, and they ended up scoring a lot in the second half and tying the game, which actually put the game into overtime and gave me an opportunity to win. So
The craziest cover was Stanford and UCLA. Sorry there, buddy.
Yeah, that was my sort of my upset pick.
Yeah.
I UCLA plus the points and looking good until, of course, the fourth quarter, and then
They said a lot of money changed hands on that strip sack for a touchdown.
yeah, none of it mine.
So-
But hey, it was indeed one of my. It was a pick that I absolutely went with my heart. But it's
No.
yeah, I know, shocker, right, George?
so rolling into this week, Washington. We just talked about Washington and Stanford playing this week.
They play Friday night.
A low over under 44 points.
Yep.
Washington.
Washington by 4.
Yeah, see, I saw 3.5. Is it 4 now?
No, that's what I'm picking them by.
Picking them for 4.
Oh, they're
Win
going to
by
go by 4? Yeah, I think that happens.
I think that's
also.
gonna be a really good game on Friday night. So
I'm taking the over.
I-
44 points. Come on.
think
Just like you said, Pac-12.
both.
10 o'clock
let's
he'll
do-
all be
let's
bombed
do-
by then. That'll be good.
That'd be nice and tossy.
Who really cares?
That's
Okay.
right. That's
Okay,
right.
so I'll just throw out a couple. We got about 7 minutes left in this segment, so I'm going to throw out a couple of plays that I really like. I really like Miami
Yep, I agree
and
with you on that.
-7, and Boise -20, and San Diego State -19.
Wow. Yeah. I like the San Diego State.
Yeah, coming
Yeah.
off a bye.
Yeah,
Playing
and I
at
think-
South Alabama.
I think
They
they'll.
added to your Boise, though, and that's a good thing, is that I believe his name is Mays, the Utah State running back, who averages a big thing. Is supposedly a lot of average is out for the game. Doubtful, let's put it that way. So that could add to your happiness.
Yep.
No, it could. But
Yeah.
how about your skirting of the Louisville and Clemson? Come on.
Yeah, that's
I
going
think
to
that's
be
the game of the week.
I don't
definitely
know
by far. I mean, the game of the week. I mean, at Clemson, it's a pick
You
'em or
jumping
one
on
right
Louisville
now.
ship?
My prediction at the beginning of the year, if you remember, I said Louisville's going to beat Florida State, and then they're going to go to Clemson and get beat. So I'm probably going to
Still staying on that
I'm going
track.
to stay on that track. So
Do you have that recorded, Billy?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to see it.
It'll be in the bank.
Okay.
if.
I have
67,
Clemson by 2.5 or 2 or 3.
67
At this
points, George.
you think it's going to be high, very high scoring, real high
Oh, hell yes.
in the 70s, 80s? You think that?
No, maybe 47.4. I don't know. You play the over and under. Play normal things. What do you like? Games.
Well, you could play team total, like
Yeah, I
Brett
know.
likes to play.
That's why you sit next to the guy and you belt him because he's got the wrong. No, it's not fun. My God,
That's great.
get a life. I'm just kidding. You know I am.
I have a life.
All right. Any specials? Any teasers for the NCAA?
I don't tease NCAA.
You don't have to.
Teasers.
Any specials?
Spatials.
I kind of like Western Michigan this week against
Yes,
Central.
I have a dot right next to it right now. I got Western Michigan. Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
I
I
was
do
look-
know something, George. How about
for
that?
like a sleeper?
No, you know a lot.
And I like
You're no
Troy. I
slouch.
like Troy going out to Idaho, -13.
I do too. Thank you.
So,
Can't touch
They
it.
can't beat two great teams in 2 weeks.
yeah.
Speaking of that, what a debacle that was for UNLV.
Oh,
I told Billy on the phone this morning when I talked to him.
Yeah.
I said you got to win those games at home, or you'll
Yeah.
never
Absolutely.
be anything.
Exactly.
and
Yeah,
Can't
killed
lose
'em.
that game.
Killed
a
them.
real telling, point is that the announced attendance was 17,000 and some change.
Which is which is a
Yeah.
good crowd for UNLV.
Yeah, but again, I go to the fact that this is still the team that students, I believe, get in free.
Yep.
It was a beautiful evening. It's not one of those, like it was one of those blistering
No,
hot
it was
evenings.
nice.
And a team that they were expected to beat.
14-point favorites.
Yeah.
And I don't know because I'm not out there, but these guys actually, from the first 3 games, they actually played some decent ball.
Yeah.
I believe.
This game surprised me a little bit that they didn't win.
They played, I believe, Central Michigan, right?
Yep.
Very good team. Except this week.
They accepted. Yeah, that was one of my, one of my duds. I thought that Central Michigan was really going to come through over the weekend, and just wasn't
It's
there.
okay.
That's why they play the games.
Yeah. Well, listen, George, unfortunately we didn't have a chance to touch bases on any of the NFL games.
That's okay. I haven't looked at them at all.
But our picks, of course, will be posted. And, Jeff, where can people find our picks?
snsportsnews.com and also SN Sports News Twitter.
And that'll be by Thursday.
Yep.
All righty. Well, George, as usual, we're absolutely grateful to have you call in.
Thank you. I'm going back to the Ann Margaret special.
Okay.
Gonna enjoy it because Ann Margaret still is Ann Margaret.
Wow.
So enjoy your night, guys, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you very much, Georgie.
Sure.
Take care.
Appreciate it. That was George Jorge Mish coming to you from Cleveland, Ohio, our prognosticator there. And we're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we're actually going to have a special guest joining us. Hopefully he'll be calling in. And this is the newly appointed head coach of Southern Utah University men's basketball team. And his name is Todd Simon. And actually, with Brett Price here, he was a coach over at Findlay Prep. So that's the next thing. We're going to have hopefully an opportunity to discuss with him. This is a new job for him. And Southern Nevada's team they're coming off a really rough year.
Southern Utah.
Southern Utah. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We're in Southern Nevada. That's you just
Well, that's our program.
Yeah.
See, it was just trying to Freudian slip, get that in there.
You didn't say Southern California.
Yeah, no, I stopped saying that. Henderson, I was saying Henderson, California for 2 years on the previous shows, but it's that they really are coming off a tough, and it's an opportunity for him considering certainly the success that he achieved at Findlay Prep. And it's always an opportunity for we like to especially speak with high school and collegiate coaches, and this will be the first college coach, basketball men's coach that we've had. We're fortunate to have some friends of ours who are now coaching at the college level in football call in and join us. And by the way, we got to catch up with them because their season is alive and kicking. And you get some of these young guys. They promise you, I'll call you and let you know what's going on. And of course, they get over there and I'll talk to those old guys at some point.
Go to the training table.
I got Saturday night to get ready for. Exactly. So I get that. So let's take a break, and then when we come back, again, we'll hopefully be joined by Todd Simon. And this is Southern Nevada Sports News coming to you from Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corp.com. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. Southern Nevada Sports News coming to you from Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corp.com. My name is Bill Miller, co-host, along with
Jeff Belknap
and Brett Price.
And with us on the line is Todd Simon, the newly appointed head coach, Southern Utah men's basketball team. Mr. Simon, how are you, sir?
Very good. How's everything?
Very good. And, of course, on our panel here, our co-host, Brett Price, is here. I believe you might know him.
Oh, just a little bit.
T. Simon, how's it going, buddy?
It's Fantastic.
Good. Hey, yeah, we're just happy to get you on here and let you talk about your team and how everything's going over there in Cedar City, Utah. We're excited, us knowing you and what you've done in your past coaching experience and everything like that. We're really excited to see what you're going to do with these young bucks over there in southern Utah.
Yeah, well, you said it exactly right. We got a little young group of guys that are right now. I like to say we're going 100 miles an hour and giving everything we have. Just sometimes not quite the right direction yet, but they are giving everything they got and just trying to teach, and put this new group of collection of talent that we really like. But it's all in that culture building stage at this point.
Exactly.
Where we're gonna establish how and why we do things and do it the right way every single time. So it's the fun part of building the program.
I have no doubt you will get that accomplished over there. Being around you, for almost 10 years now since I've moved out here, and being able to coach with you and Mike Peck and getting the Finley Prep program started and turning it into a national program that generated 3 national championships and a slew of Division I basketball players and NBA players now. And just looking back, what fond memories you got with Finley Prep and getting that all going?
It was, to me, that those were just the glory days, and we certainly had we got a lot of credit with, we had a whole lot of help and as you were in that foundation of that program with us and building that thing. But that's really where the memories lie. It's so interesting to see everyone doing so well and these young, small fish becoming big fish in the player side of things but really the memories for me lie in just those intimate moments that we all had, behind closed doors, where the sacrifices that these guys made, the idiosyncrasies and and sometimes when you're winning at the clip that we were winning at, it oftentimes looks easy, and it's certainly not easy.
Right.
But we all got to share in that struggle behind closed doors to put out the product that was fun to watch and grew young men.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. It was a lot of fun, getting things going and just being around yourself and Mike and learning basketball from you guys and just creating memories like you just said. And so
Yeah, and I'd really like to ask you too. Todd, if you don't mind me calling you that.
Coach.
Sure.
We're better than Robert or Cliff or something. But you guys really set a hell of a footprint at Finley Prep.
Yeah.
And I'd like for you to talk about some of these guys that have gone on. You have slews of guys who've gone on to Division I and play. At top Division I programs, but also in the NBA. And I don't think very many people know that. So please touch bases on that.
Yeah, we had a nice run of it. I think when we first laid out the blueprint, and Coach Peck was so intimately involved in kind of paving the way with us on this thing, but I remember those early days saying we're going to do it. We're going to go all in on player development, and I think that's that part of it. And we were going to trust our eye for talent and a particular system that we believed in. And I think that's the gratifying portion was, saying, hey, we're going to do it this way and not succumb to any of the other stuff and have it pan out. But, then to see, the unheralded guys kind of make it, the Jorge Gutierrez and Christian Wood, who was kind of an underdog along the way early on. And then also had some of the guys that people respected that just kind of skyrocketed, the Anthony Bennett's and the Avery Bradleys and Tristan Thompsons. And, I think now I think it's up to about 10 guys, and just to have that pipeline strictly from one high school over a 6-year period is kind of unprecedented, and it was a lot of fun to watch the next generation learn from the previous generation, and I think that defines a true program.
Yeah, and of course, one of your huge competitors here, in southern Nevada, Bishop Gorman, and but let's face it, considering the program budgets for these schools, and what you're able to accomplish at Findlay Prep, it's just really a testimony to the structure that was set up. But I applaud that you guys had a plan, you stuck with it, and at the same time, you got these young men. And when you're talking about high school kids, you're talking about young men, and 14 to basically 14, anywhere from 14 to 18-year-olds, and getting them to buy into it. So hats off to you.
Yeah, and that's the part that I think, because they are so big and imposing and in the whole thing, and people missed out on that part. Early on, as Coach Price there can attest to, he's experienced living with the guys, and my wife and I lived with a whole crew for several years, and that these guys are just young guys.
Yep.
They are playing with Pokemon cards and barely just entering high school. I mean, it's
true.
It's different. I learned very quickly at the age of 25 that it was going to be a role closer to dad than it was going to be brother in some instances.
That's great.
And you got to mature quick and make sure you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's. But it's a special experience. And now taking that on to this journey is that those experiences are just unbelievable to be able to draw back from and get remember that these are young guys, and they we're in it for them, and we take them to raise. It's a big saying in our program that we've kind of adopted from the Findlay days, is we're taking these guys to raise them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and how have you settled in up there in Cedar City?
I tell you what, we love it. I have a young family. It's a tremendous family community. Every night is an incredible sunset around the mountains. Quiet town that really, really is embracing their athletics. I mean, it's a town of 30,000, and they got over 10,000 people at the football game on Saturday night. And it's one of those deals where they're passionate about our sports and athletics, and very positive, and that's a pleasure to be around.
Well, it sounds like obviously the community has embraced that campus and that school, and that's so highly underrated.
Yeah.
I coming from LA, and and then of course programs like UCLA and USC, and they kind of dominated. But some of the smaller schools in the area, like Cal State Fullerton, Cal State Long Beach, and they actually draw huge crowds because people have just sort of bought into those immediate communities.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's the first?
You
I'm sorry.
hit
Go
the
ahead.
nail on the head, and I know Coach Price. In the Midwest, where there's a lot of college towns, and we're kind of from a little bit of the same cloth in that regard, and this is very much like that. It's almost very much like a Midwest college town planted here in southern Utah, and on game days the houses line up with the university flags, and town
That's great.
about shuts down, and
awesome.
it's a good little feeling. It's a really good feeling, and we've had all kinds of fun with it, from block parties to we got any number of kids in our backyard at a given time. But
You got a big backyard too, so I seen that.
yeah. I mean, it's not too big to keep the ball in the air, though. I'll say that. My wiffle ball record's still spectacular.
Oh man.
Now they are 5 years old. I do get that, but I still got to keep my winning intact.
That's right.
Hey,
Might as well do it now, 'cause they're going to get you later.
There you go.
you gotta teach
there's no
them
question.
you gotta teach them young
Yeah.
that losing is okay too. So I still race my 8-year-old and I say, when you beat me, then you'll beat me, okay? But for now, I'm gonna keep winning.
There's no question. As soon as he got me a few times in the backyard football, he switched over to wiffle ball.
All right.
You might got to step on me, but I can hit this ball really far.
There you
Right,
go.
there you go.
There you go.
Well, I noticed that you're from Fowler, Michigan.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
Jeff here, of course, is he's a Michigan, Detroit homeboy.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, who was your college team
I
growing
can't get
up?
away from him, Simon.
Yeah,
blue,
I
baby.
love it. There we go. We just got to keep circling the wagons. So
That's right.
Keep circling the wagons on Coach Price. But no, I grew up a diehard Michigan fan, especially in football. So we strategically moved these practices on Saturday morning a little extra early. Let's put it that way.
Always
Make
have,
sure,
always will.
That's good.
Yeah, but you went to Central Michigan.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. You guys let me down on Saturday. I mean, that was one of my. I was counting on that. The behind whooping that you put on UNLV. I was thinking, all right, here we go, and
They made it interesting. But it's going to be. It'll be a fun one. I actually got them on the schedule here the next few years.
Oh,
we got
nice.
them here and make a little trip back up that way and try to circle the wagons and get a few of those Michigan schools on the schedule to
Nice.
Get back to see the fam.
There we go.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
Yep. So, checking out, we were just looking at your roster a little bit here. Like I said, you got a young group and a lot of inexperience, but you got 3 guys coming back that got like 20 plus minutes per game with Marshall McGee and Parsons. How are they getting along with the new crop of guys and how's the mix coming along?
Well, we very early on, in the spring, and that we wanted to make this as hard as possible, and not to be, Bear Bryant Junction boys, but we wanted to be a couple scooches to the left of that.
Yeah.
Hey, this is going to be a different deal, and the guys that really bought in and to their credit, they've come way over to our side of just doing things in a very much a winning manner, and everything is a competition. So, I give those guys credit. They've really chewed it up and spit it out and kind of took on all challenges and we're really into building that. And Parsons, unfortunately, tore his ACL at the end of the season last year, and so he's kind of coming along a little slowly, but he's an absolute warrior. He's been practicing for a week and just ran a 5:08 mile today.
Nice.
And we got some guys that are we're having to they're overly competitive, and that's what we've tried to create. Is, everything's earned, and there's some guys that might have took them 4 months to get any gear, but they got their gear. They achieved it, and so we've tried to establish that very early on that this is going to be a everything earned program, and it's not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. But it'll be for some guys, and those guys will win, and these 3-year turners will be big for that. And we had a couple red shirts that'll that have bought in, and I think we put on about 60 pounds in the weight room, and we kind of ran our last conditioning test today. We had just a brutal boot camp of conditioning, and we had 6 guys under a 5:20 mile, which is not that the mile's that significant, but it's more of a mental thing that hey, when the first time we ran it and we had 4 or 5 guys over 7 minutes, I said, oh boy, we're in trouble. And now everyone was under 6, and so we were showing some very exciting strides, in terms of all that stuff.
That's good.
Nice.
That's really good. I know you with your style, back in the day when we sit around and talk and things like that. You knew from an early start what kind of coach you wanted to be and what kind of style of team you would want. I know when you were interim over at UNLV last year, you liked to do pressing and up tempo, a lot of possession type team. Are you directing that again over there with the young guys, just implementing that and going for the up tempo, pressing, high scoring, entertaining type thing?
There's always the debate in taking over programs and talking to guys is, do you weather the storm and tweak your system to your talent and what you have, or do you do what you do and then fill in the pieces as the time goes by? I fall on the latter. I just think, okay, we may not have the depth of the numbers, but by golly, we can get some guys in shape now, and we're up in 7,000 feet, and we're going to be, we want a couple delay game violations a game, stepping over that line, getting under people's chin, and we're going to try to force tempo and just get this game sped up. I think we played a game last year, 200 some possessions, scored 104 times in 17 games. I mean, we're really, really, really on the high tempo side to the point where we can make our conditioning a factor, we can make our elevation a factor.
Yep.
And we may not have the depth or experience yet, but I think one strength that we had, and I think we had at UNLV, is we can get guys to play really, really hard. And we feel like we got enough time here to, get a system in place where we can be better at playing chaotic than you can.
Right.
And, so that's a little bit what we're going to look like. I think we're going to put up a lot of points and be very hard to guard. We've found some shooting and a nice little blend of that and athleticism. So it'll be an interesting look. I think we'll look different. That's for sure. We'll look different.
So starting your schedule off, in your first 5 games, you got St. Louis, Billikens, and Valparaiso. That's going to be a little tough challenge for your boys. How are you going to get prepared for these guys?
Well, one thing we did with the schedule early on, I mean, we hit, I think we tip off in 13 states, I want to say, something like that. When we play, we're going Michigan, Indiana, Missouri, all the way up and down the West Coast. So we're gonna just go all over the place, and I just want this particular year. So people kind of looked at it and said, "Whoa, what? You're dotting the map." So we did it a little bit, by design, where we wanted to just build this program on mental toughness and take ball, play anywhere type mentality, and so starting off with those teams, which are going to be quite, very good challenges for us, and obviously Valparaiso has one of the better players in the country returning in Alec Peters, and St. Louis is building this thing with Coach Ford, and so we're going to have some challenges there. But at the end of the day, we want to try to dictate. We're going to try to do things how we do it, and muddy it up a little bit with tempo and trapping, and not allow teams to do what they necessarily want to do, and then see what happens.
Now looking further down your schedule, I mean, you guys are in the Big Sky Conference, and you're looking at the up-tempo offense. Is there anybody that kind of emulates that in the Big Sky, or is this going to be something pretty new for that conference where you can go in there and just really, stir things up a little bit in the conference?
Well, I think we'll be different. I think we will be different. There's not a lot of trapping necessarily in the league. It's a big sets league. Some phenomenal coaches. A couple disciples of Stu Morrill at Utah State. Where you're going to see all kinds of actions, and it's an old league. There's transfers and JUCO kids and return missionaries. I mean, it's a very old league, so it's a very good basketball league from a competitive standpoint. And but we're going to be different. And is that smart? Is it wise? I don't know. I just know one way, and I just know we're going to do it our way and be us, and not worry about what they say you should do or shouldn't do, and we'll see where the chips fall. But yeah, we'll be a little bit unique.
Yep.
Especially if we end up doing it the way we think we can do it.
Like we always said at Finley, it might not be the right way or this way, but it's the way we do it.
Yep.
So you're carrying that over there to them. Let's talk about some of your young guys that you've been impressed with so far that you brought in.
Well, we got a 6'10", Croatian kid that really, down the road, I think has a real chance to play this game for, the highest level. He's just a skilled guy, can really shoot it. Such a phenomenal basketball IQ, and he lives and breathes it. So he's becoming a playmaker. There's not a lot of centers in our league that are, we're a positionless deal, and so we're putting him in single doubles, running him off like he's Ray Allen, and he's playing center position. And so we'll do some unique stuff. But he's been very good. We have a junior college transfer that we were fortunate to beat some Big 12 schools on. Who's 6'8", 245, and strong and athletic, and will be a very imposing post player for us. And we're excited about him. We have a Texas Tech transfer at point guard that we think can be a difference maker in our league. He's bought into those Finley guards that we had, where don't be a good defender, be the best defender in the world. Mentality. Try to ingrain that in him, and he's bought into that, where he's become a pit bull at 6'3", 205. So he's going to be a very good player for us, and we like another one of our young posts who's a freshman as well. He's about 6'8", 225, and athletic, and a couple of those guys just beat the living daylights out of each other on the daily, and at some point I'm ready to play somebody else. But so we're really excited about the whole group of guys, and think that they could, can really be a backbone to this whole thing.
Nice. Well, I know early in the season, big one around here, and probably for you a little bit too, is November 30th, and UNLV comes over to Cedar City. Got to be excited about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the nice things, obviously, he's a storied program, and a program that truly loved and enjoyed being at, and we had a great experience there, and we're able to develop some kids and help them get to the highest level, and certainly didn't work out the way everybody wanted to, but there's no question that just to be able to get a high caliber Mountain West opponent here in Cedar City is a big deal for us, and obviously a lot of ties between here and Las Vegas, and it should be one that our guys will be excited about, and we'll be excited about, and not a lot of faces we recognize, with a few of those guys that obviously very, very close with at the time we were there, and get a chance to see those guys and compete against them will be a little bit different, but. And Coach Menzies, I spent time with him my first year at UNLV way in the early 2000s with Coach Kruger, and so I got to know him pretty well. So it'll be a fun and interesting matchup. I think you got one program here that we're building from the ground up, and there they've got quite a tradition and history that, and while a lot of new guys, they certainly have a ton of talent.
Yep.
And it'll be a big game for us.
Well, we are looking forward to the media passes at the MGM Grand.
No question.
Yeah,
no
we've
question.
got, and we appreciate it, Todd, taking the time out of we know a very busy schedule. We just have a few seconds left, but thank you so much, and we hope to catch up with you when you're here in Vegas for the tournament as well as the game with UNLV.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to it, and I really appreciate coming on, and I hopefully I'll see you over at that MGM there before Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
All right.
Todd.
And I'd like to thank Todd Simon, head coach of Southern Utah basketball team. George Mish, of course, for calling in. Join us next Monday, another installment, Southern Nevada Sports News, coming to you from WorldwideDigitalBroadcastingCorp.com. Thank you.
God bless.